What do you do when you have done all the hard work to heal? You finally step back into the world and life immediately tears you to shreds all over again. Welcome back to Choose Purposeful. Today we are opening Chapter 7 of Where the Creek Bends. Last week we talked about stepping out of our safe harbor. When we do the hard work of mending our broken pieces, we naturally want a reward. We want life to be easy for a while. We feel like we've earned a victory. But today, Rolli is going to learn a brutal, humbling lesson. Sometimes you can do everything right. You can mend the net perfectly. You can execute the plan flawlessly. But a monster from the deep may still rise up and rip it right from your hands. So Rolli's net is finally fixed. All of that time on the porch. It is a tapestry of old twine and sturdy new stitches. It is a partner with a history. And his friend Keith has a brilliant plan. Head to Glimmer Lake and herd a massive school of shiners right into the net. Miraculously, it works. Christina splashes the water and Keith gives the orders and Rolli holds the line. The net bulges with 1,000 silver heartbeats. They're capturing the lake's very breath. It is a moment of fierce, undeniable victory. Until the deep strikes back. A shadow detaches from the dark water. A massive Northern Pike, a submarine of pure muscle and instinct, shoots into the shallows. But it doesn't just eat a minnow. In its violent and thrashing lunge, it gets caught in the net. The world seems to have exploded. The net is a churning mass of chaos. Keith falls backwards into the water. Rolli digs his heels into the mud, fighting a primal tug of war with the wild heart of the lake. And then that sickening rip! The center of the net gives way. The pike vanishes into the dark water, trailing tatters of green twine everywhere, and the silver army escapes. Rolli pulls his ruined masterpiece back from the water. The victory was stolen. The net is now destroyed again. As they walk home in silence, pushing this heavy, dripping new burden on his bike, something shifts. He realizes this isn't defeat. It's just the beginning of a new, more difficult chapter. The net wasn't magical after all. The adventure isn't about winning. Sometimes it's about surviving the fight. What happens when you do all the hard work to heal and life breaks you again? In this chapter, Rolli finally takes his newly mended net to the lake. He catches this massive school of fish for a moment, achieving what he thought was perfect victory. But a split second later, his repaired net was torn to shreds again. When we go through massive loss, we work so hard to stitch our lives back together. When another tragedy or a second failure hits, it feels incredibly unfair. It feels like the universe is simply mocking our progress. But a torn net does not mean the end of the story. It means the mending has to begin again. Stop. Stop staring at the hole that life just tore in your plans. Look at the strength you gained by surviving the fight. Listen to the quiet resilience inside of you that knows how to hold the line. Feel the bitter sting of setback. It's real. But choose to pick the twine up again and start over. The adventure isn't always about winning. Sometimes it's about having the courage to mend your net over and over again. Rolli could have thrown that net into the weeds and walked away, but he packed it up. He took it home and he prepared to start over. So let's make a deal this week. Find one thing in your life that feels ruined right now. A project, a conversation, a relationship, a routine that you stopped doing. Don't throw it away. Pick it up, grab the twine, and make one single stitch to start repairing it today. Next week, we turn to Chapter 8. We're going to look at what happens in the quiet aftermath of the storm. How do we find the patience to sit down and do the tedious work of stitching our lives back together again? Do not let a monster from the deep convince you that your mending was in vain. May you find the strength to hold the line when life fights back. May you have the grace to accept that healing it's a constant ongoing cycle. And may you always find the courage to pick up the twine and start stitching all over again. Stop, look, listen, feel, choose. Do the work, practice gratitude, harness peace, and always choose purposeful. I'll see you next week.